Alrighty. Hello and welcome, friends, back to my channel. I'm Zillable, and this is my Archeo gaming stream, where we are on week 5 of playing Heaven's Vault, a game about... I love Death and Robots, sure. Mostly epigraphy and archaeology, and learning an ancient language. You do not have to have seen up to here to enjoy this, although if you don't want to be spoiled, go ahead and start back at the beginning. All the recordings are up on my YouTube channel, Zilla's Athenaeum. If you are here live, feel free to say hello in chat. I do keep up with that, and I would love to hear from you. And if you are keeping up, we can even have you have some input on decisions in game. Streaming with me today is my partner Tortoise.
Hi.
Hi. And Tortoise is a puzzle expert to my linguistics expert, so he'll be commenting again on sort of the construction of how we are set up to explore and learn this language. The story so far, our character is Aaliyah, a historian grad student at the University of Iox in the Ioxian Protectorate in the Nebula. She has her own boat, which sails the rivers between moons in the Nebula. That's what they call it. Her search for her mentor Myari, professor at the university, asked her to look for another professor, Janiki Renba, who was a roboticist, and we found his ship crashed and burned on a moon in a very difficult part of the nebula. We got a message from Renba that he was looking for an ancient observatory called the Vault, and some grand prophecies of doom, as you can see. So we still haven't gone back to tell Myari the news, mostly because she's rude. And because grad students having an adversarial relationship with their advisor is not uncommon. But we did find a mysterious crown that we have kept a secret from even our companion Robot 6 because he would rat us out to Myari. So we could go search for new sites, we could go use our own contacts, or we should maybe go and tell Professor Myari about what we know. Let's see. Oh yes, we left off in the Graveyard of Emperors, an incredibly, impossibly preserved moon with these grave markers, one of which spoke to us in the voice of a dead emperor. Just don't look down. Do not jump. Don't know why we would jump. Truly a most fortuitous find. Are you ready to go yet? Actually, yeah. We had just about finished with this space. So there is a tech in this world called a hopper that lets us teleport between pre-designated places. So we can view our timeline. Most recently we spoke to a ghost. But I want to zoom out. So we can get an idea. So this nebula, we've found some things showing that they might be as old as to possibly predate the ancient empire about 2,000 years ago. And that's how old we think this site is. We have found relics of an ancient empire, which we have no record of, and then the Holy Empire, which we know of by the symbols of a eagle and sun, which is probably the only reason they know what a sun is, really, when you think about it. And then the Dark Age, where we lost a lot of information. And then the Modern Age. So, where shall we go? Oops. So, we don't have enough information to try and get to the Withering Palace or the pre-Empire site. We do have some options. We could go back to Alea's homeworld, Elboreth, and talk to her friend Oroi, maybe get some new information. Could go back to the university, talk to Myari. We don't really have a reason to go to Mercy or any of those places, even Renaki. I don't even know why it's an option. What do you think, Tortoise? Should we head to Elboreth or Iox?
I don't know. You were saying we probably should go back to Iox and, I don't know, maybe get some of that out of the way before
okay.
Before the stakes get higher.
Oh, okay. We have some things asking us to translate them. I don't know why. I'm not really sure why it didn't just go ahead and let us travel there. Maybe we need a scene on the boat first. Oh, Tortoise, when you speak, could you lean a little towards the mic?
Okay, let me try to get it closer.
A curious place. So why did the Emperor scratch a map to the Emperor's graveyard? Perhaps he was dying and that's where he wished to be buried. I really should return this, but I've grown rather attached to it. That's not at all what I was expecting her to say. That whole moon 6 must have once been filled with voices like Kaya's. Ahead atop every shrine, all talking, arguing, laughing. That place was a haven. Butterflies, mistress. Time to move on. Something about that graveyard upset our robot. Can you guess what? Okay. Sailing to Iox in Ioxian space via the lower reach. The Garden Moon was the most curious find, mistress, says 6. The Holy Empire was founded on a belief in rebirth. The loop. They really believed in the Great Loop. Graveyards were unnecessary. Perhaps the emperors did not believe in the loop. Humans, I've observed, are fickle. Thank you for that biting wit, 6. Either route leads to our destination. Okay, well, let's go where the waters take us. The real question is the Withering Palace. If that recording was made there, who knows what else was recorded? Who knows what they know? Now that would be intriguing. I would like to see it.
I'm a little disappointed that we don't have the river music.
Yeah, I think every once in a while it forgets to turn on the river music. It's too bad. 'Cause it is really gorgeous. I still enjoy the sailing itself. I can just hear...
They say on Iox that the rivers flow with the souls of the dead. Anything to scare you to the ground.
I can practically hear Kate screaming that the sailing is terrible. So why did the last emperor draw a map to the emperor's graveyard? Simply because he was dying? The emperors believe in the loop, mistress. But to be reborn, you must be burned. Unlike all those before him, the last emperor faced true death. Perhaps the emperor drew the map to tell his soul where to go. Oh, we've reached Iox. No more chatting. We should tell the professor what happened to Renba, but if I don't have to mention the crown, I'm not gonna. Here we are on Iox. If Renba found the body of the last emperor on that moon near Mercy, why was he hiding robes and sending Myari brooches? Seems clear he considered it a great secret. Why would somebody wish to conceal the last emperor had been returned? Perhaps because someone claims to be the last emperor? Renba said Myari was lying about who she was. Renba was a dedicated loop member, as was Myari. Are you saying Myari claims to be an actual emperor? Do not know her, but if she did, what would a discovery such as Renba's mean for her? A good question. I haven't actually walked much around the university. I feel like I remember there being some things to see around here. Look at this place. It looks ancient, but it's modern. Or, looks modern, but it's ancient. Here and there, bits of architecture go back thousands of years. Certainly this sort of Middle Eastern arch style seems to be common in the ruins. Myari should be up in her office. That's not something I care about. Ooh, got a little glitch there. Hey, can I talk to you? No. So how did an empress end up inside a Mercian figurine in the middle of nowhere? Someone died out there. Surely that wasn't an emperor, was it? Okay, can't go in that door. Yo. People. What do robots know when they're activated? Most things. They are unlike human children. They move and speak fluidly. But they don't know history. They don't know who built them. At least I do not. Look at this thing. What even is it? Evidently it's said to be a sundial. There's an inscription on it. Here we go. So, this is complicated looking.
Ooh, new symbol. I don't think we have seen that nested shape thing before.
No, the 3 nested squares. That seems brand new. And this is a complicated symbol. We've got an adjective or adverb marker, the sign for many, an abstract marker maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what we decided.
And then the squares, and then I think that last one is associated with life.
Yep.
And then this one, noun, many people. And then glow. That doesn't seem right. So we know that the thing after the verb marker here is toward. Oh, Tortoise, you're still sounding very quiet, so I guess you're going to have to speak up. I'll turn your volume up a bit.
Is that better?
What do you think, DJ? Is he sounding any better? So we know that this little, it's not much better.
Not much better? How?
I guess you're just going to have to speak up.
Okay, I'll try to speak up.
That's strange. It sounded okay when I did a test recording, but hey, technical matters. So we're pretty sure that that inverted quote mark is a verb marker, and then the rest of it is the same as what we've confirmed is towards. Okay, so it is better now? I'm glad. The speaking up voice is better. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for the feedback. So I don't think glow is right here. That just doesn't seem likely. It can't be into because it's a verb, but maybe follow?
Yeah, that seems to fit the verb toward.
And this, I guess, would just be people then, do you think?
Yeah. Thing, many people. Or thing, many person.
Okay, so this is the real question. So
It's a modifier.
yeah, some kind of modifier, so it's probably not protect or help.
It seems much too complicated to be none, and I think none would be, like we have...
Yeah, we have some negatives.
We have some things that are like nothing, and they're much shorter and not like that.
So maybe honest. Honest people follow emperor. That will do for now. An empire period work then, or older with the motto etched in later. Was the sundial made here? Obviously yes. Curiously enough. What if I touch it? What do you make of it, 6? It seems to me the sundial could never have worked, at least not in this location. It's just like the one in the garden. Okay, please stop spinning. I believe that sundial to be significantly older than this one. Furthermore, that one was not made on Iox. Maybe the sundial isn't a timepiece at all. It could be a tombstone. Maybe there's an ancient king underneath it. I've not detected anything. I know, 6. Yeah, we know what gravestones from that period. People have already looked. Okay. I know if I go further that way, I'm going to wind up going off the planet. The robots know something someone said to me. Perhaps they were thinking of the ethical core. I don't think there's much over this way that I can get to. Robots know ethics, speech, but nothing that only they know? Perhaps robots once knew more than they do now? Aaliyah, tell me, are you still wasting your time on your curious notions of history? History isn't mine, curator. It belongs to everybody. Most of us are decent people and do not want it. You should devote yourself to a real science like metallics or loop philosophy. History is a science. It's the exploration of the past through evidence and theory. Honestly. Most people think you will not be content until you have unearthed your own skull. Good faith to you. Jerk? I really hate her. Understandable, mister. Oh, loop philosophy. Do you like other robots? I've not spent much time with them. But you have met some. A few. They've always struck me as rather predictable. You're not terribly predictable, Six. Wonder why that is. So yes, the curator of the university believes that history is a fool's errand, and that the loop will prevail. Aaliyah, Professor Myari is anticipating you. So I would imagine. Then perhaps you should go. Good faith to you. Okay. But what if I don't? The library. Ooh, I like libraries.
To think. Except when Huang's in there, which of course he always is.
Aaliyah, you're back. Did you find Renba? Hello, Huang? Well, that's sounding like maybe you didn't. Did he go native on some wild moon? Ooh. I've heard there are all sorts of places where people get up to all sorts of things. Sounds like you've been reading too much again. There are books in here that claim all sorts of things. A moon of ghosts, a moon ruled by a buried god, a jungle of trees made of teeth. You want to come sailing with me sometime? By the stars, no, you can keep your space demons. It's bad news, isn't it? Yes, I'm afraid so. I didn't know him, but professors, they're supposed to die in soft chairs watching the fountain. Professors are supposed to live a soft and easy life, huh? Even in this universe. If only that were so. You know anything about an ancient observatory? An observatory? That's interesting. Let me tell you something I heard about Renaki. Is there an observatory there? Not quite. I was on Renaki recently. I know, me on a boat. You should have seen me. I turned green. What'd you do that for? I've got my secrets, Aaliyah. The curators let me take a few things and trade. Anyway, there was a trader on the boat called Amadou. He was talking pretty expansively. He called it, well, the observatory. Looking for a particular observatory, not just anyone. Oh well, this one sounded like it was old. I thought of you. I do like. How old are these books of yours anyway? Some are really old, but not, you know, ancient. They date back to the first Empress or so. Why aren't there any older books? It's a good question. In the real world, we often have at least copies of books from much longer ago. Did you ever hear of the Withering Palace? Most likely an Empire period site, so not too old. Your books might mention it. Let me think. Yes, I think the annals mention it briefly. Let's see. And the lonely and the lost were pilgrims to the palace beyond the garden. or the best remains of mirrors of wise thoughts. What does that mean? I have no idea. Beyond the garden might be a clue. We found a garden. Sounds delightful. That's not a nice face. Well, it was more of a graveyard. I wouldn't trade our lives, Aaliyah. I really wouldn't. What? Who said anything about that? Who was Mazwai? She was a sailor from maybe 20 loops ago. A traveling monk. Have you found any artifacts you want me to look at? So we could show him some artifacts. Let's take a look at one or two, huh? How about the robe? Very fine cloth. It must have belonged to someone important. I've seen this kind of thing before, too. Wait a moment. Where is it? Talking to other scholars is good, even if they need to tidy up sometimes. This is an early Empire shroud. It was found on a splinter in Ghost's wake, and we have an inscription. Okay, so it's another one where we're going to have to break it into words. Like I've said a couple of times, you know, this is not too uncommon, where we just don't have spaces in a lot of older languages. This is true in the real world. So
it's a long one.
It is a long one. I do see Emperor. And is... That could be will, or our modal over here. That doesn't look unreasonable. And then I can't actually see the end of this. Oh, but it does have all the glyphs of return. So let's see. Oh, it wants us to put this in again. Okay, so that's one thing I think is more about the puzzling than anything else, is the way that after a couple of times of using a glyph, she gets an intuition as to whether it's correct or not, our translation. We'd need to compare it against some more context to really get a sense in the real world. So the Emperor is gone. The Emperor will...
So it's a modifier, but it's a modifier based on a verb, not abstraction?
No, I think the abstraction was upside down. Do we have that glyph?
We have it in hold.
Hold. So it might be something like presence.
Yeah.
And we have that cross, which is in a bunch of negative stuff. So I'm thinking gone. What do you think?
Yeah. I agree. Will turn.
Come on. Continue. Emperor is gone. Emperor will return. Sounds loop-like. Wonder if he knew what he'd found. Do you want me to archive the robe? Nah. Not finished with it yet. I could show him another artifact. How about the carved box? There's an inscription. I read it as Hold Light. Interesting. I've seen something else that also had a script. So this is a good way for us to get some more inscription work, get some confirmation on what we have. And you can only do so many at a time before he gets sort of tired of it. but it's something that I really appreciate. And this is very, in terms of scholarly relationships, I think this is a pretty realistic one. You know, a person who specializes in the material culture, going out and digging in the dirt, as it were, and a person who specializes in the textual, who doesn't have a lot of physical context, but who has a good and broad knowledge of the textual evidence that exists. So normally I fall more on Huang's side than on Aaliyah's in my work. So, I see again at the end.
It probably wants you to put in God, even though it's almost certainly wrong.
Okay. And upon is not here, so it must be wanting will? Oh yeah. Okay, I see. It's probably going to tell us here that God is incorrect. Thank you, 6. So we'll just put our modal and our again back together. And 6 is telling us to be confident in our translation of again. So this is a glyph that we associate with place, and a glyph that we associate with God. So, what do you think?
Temples works there.
Temples works there, and then a verb form of light.
Light, and then something about travel or movement.
So do you think open?
I guess so. Yeah, letting in light or something.
Yeah. Let's see what Leah says. Does temples will open again make sense?
Oh, I forgot to write that one down.
Oh. Digging in my mother's quarters when I was a child here on Iox. That's such an interesting bit of context. Iox is layers on layers. I mean, the robots were dug out of the concrete foundations, too. So, our questioning modal, may God hold something, something. A possessive pronoun, probably. So not rear, your, are, or my, and then a noun made out of a verb. So
that's clearly your.
That's clearly, yeah. Go for it.
I mean, we have you, and we have the, genitive marker.
Yeah. And then this one, noun, verb, life, concrete.
Wait, was that concrete? That was...
Or it was
present.
like hold, present.
Yeah, something like that.
But also just look, may the gods hold your, I would guess, heart.
Yeah.
Heart in the sense of the more abstract kind of heart, like your essence. Or your spirit. May the gods hold your heart. Well, you have any more like that? Maybe we can confirm some more words. I'll take the box to the archives then. Alright. You can have it. So, I think at this point we really have no option. Oh. We could just go off to the Withering Palace, but no, we came here to talk to Myari, and we should do that. She will already be aware of our presence, and how long I have dallied. Do not have friendships with other robots, if that would mean. A few other robots might help you to understand yourself. There's nothing to understand. I do not wish to discuss this further. As you like. appreciate your understanding. Much too person-like to just be random. In we go. You're back, but I don't know if I want to ask what you found. Maybe you don't. It's not good news. I'm not a child, just tell me what you saw. He's dead, Professor. His ship blew up as he tried to leave an off-river moon. Interesting. You're certain? I'm gonna let 6 answer, see what they said. We are quite certain. Remba appeared to be investigating an abandoned hermitage off-river, and you followed him. What did you find there? Tell her about the dagger. A worthless trinket. Nothing else? Nothing more? Nope. No, most likely not, although Remba found something and it shared his fate. That is most probable, Mistress Myari. Evidently he was likely making a swift return with his ship's biodome. I imagine you'll want to be alone. You're a kind one under all that rough. Don't worry about me. When you get to my age, death becomes a familiar house guest. You invite her in for Raki. I'm sorry to hear that. All part of the Great Loop, and Remba was never the happiest of men. As it is now his soul sails the river, perhaps we'll meet again. Do you really believe that? It's a simple fact, Aaliyah. Good day to you. Well, that's fascinating. Oh, one last thing. Tell me honestly. How are you finding your new companion? Are you working well together? It's only a robot, Professor. Robots are valuable things, Aaliyah. I want to know immediately if anything happens to this one. I hope that's clear. Clear. She's honestly been nicer to me in this playthrough than I think I've ever seen her.
I didn't exactly lie to Myari about what I'd found. But I didn't tell her the whole truth either.
What are the Chronicles of Mazwai that Wong's always reading about? I believe Mazwai was a pilgrim sailor. She writes about various places of the nebula and how the loop has acted in those places. Shall we leave now? Yes. Let's get out of here. I would like to know more about Mazwai, but I am ready to move on and see about talking to Oroi. Beautiful enough, but that doesn't explain what Remba was doing with it. Anything else we can look at in here? The robe. Hard to believe an emperor died under this thing. Could rest. I'm not going to rest. It would be really cool if we could do more exploring of the ship. Look out there. It seems to go on forever. Mistress? What if the rivers aren't natural at all? What a strange option it gave us. If they weren't created by storms or magnetic fields, what else could they be? I don't know. Something whole, something with a design. There are no designers. Imagine a ship dragging the flows behind it, the way a plow drags a furrow, a tapestry of cloud and smokes. The well springs drive the flows. Don't tell me you believe the well springs are natural. They exist in nature, mistress. I'm very interested now in these well springs. Ready the ropes. Let's go. So, we could now plot a course to the Withering Palace, or we could head to Elboreth. Any opinions? Tortoise or chat?
I am up for either of those.
Wait a few seconds to see if chat has any opinions. Well, perhaps let's check out Elboreth, since we haven't been there yet. It's a personal favorite of mine, and I think it will be a little bit revelatory to look at. Oh, that's exciting.
What's up?
My computer is frozen. I can't tell if the stream is also frozen. Okay. Let's see. How we doing? My computer unfroze, but I'm not sure if the stream did. Okay, it looks like it's going again. It's got a bit of a delay, but it's going. Sorry about that, folks. I have no idea if you perceived that or if it was just on my end, but hopefully that's the only time it'll happen. No idea why. Stream is still going. Thank you, chat. Appreciate that. So, on we sail.
All the rivers of the nebula flow to Iox in the end. If you tie off your sail, Iox is where you'll wash up. It's the heart of the nebula. Or else, it's the gutter.
It's a bit of faint praise. I've been considering Remba's decision to hide the funeral robe. It implies that he knew what it was. He knew it was significant. Why do you think Remba hid the robe? Perhaps he simply wished to hide his discovery of the ruined moon. But otherwise, it occurs to me that he might have known the site would be discovered. And he wished to conceal what he found. And who he found there. He found the last Emperor of Iox there, 6. So why hide evidence the way he did? Seems clear he considered it a great secret. Why would somebody wish to conceal that the last Emperor had not been returned to the ruins? I feel like we went over this. Because someone claims to be the Emperor returned. So, does anyone claim to be the Emperor returned? Not publicly. But the university, as you know, has its priesthood of the loop. Remba was a dedicated member. As is Professor Myari. Myari really believes she is the reincarnation of the last emperor. But if she did, what would such a discovery of Rimba's mean for her? Set us down. We're here. Let's check out Elboreth. This place that has been described as Aaliyah's home. The home of her friend Auroi, where she grew up. And also by Myari as a gutter. A dirty place with little education.
We landed in the dust outside the great walls of Elboreth. No one looked up to watch us arrive. The people here only ever look down.
So this is Elboreth. This was your home? This is my home. Seen little but Iox, mistress. This is not like here. No, it's not. The Catchus Gate. It's the way up to the inner citadel. Good faith to you. Good faith. How goes things? Well enough, thank you. Good faith to you. Just some random person. So, I'm curious about these feet. They're very unlike anything else that we've seen. What exactly is a catkiss, mistress? It's the name of the inner citadel, but I'm not sure what it means. Stone feet. The slums below are named after these feet. They're the oldest things here. The original statue must have been huge. Bigger than the statue on Myari? 4 or 5 times bigger. And also in a very different style, but it must be of similar age. I wonder why. You know, the statue on Myari didn't have feet. Never thought that it might be unusual before. Were the statue on Myari and the one here made on the same place? It's quite possible based on their compositions. I will consider the matter. Can't see why anyone would waste a statue on Elboreth, perhaps to remind the citizen of higher powers, mistress. This way, 6. Oh, oops. I didn't mean actually to go down into the slums first, but hey, I guess we're gonna check it out.
Made me feel like a child again. It hadn't been a happy time. A simple one, at least.
So this is where Aaliyah grew up. To my knowledge, there's only one place we can really go in here. It's all more solid than it looks. God's feet has been standing for some time. 6 is not accustomed to places you might have to go rather than want to go. There's too much information here. It is most unpleasant.
The heart of the God's Feet slum was Timur's bar. Timur had never once set foot inside the upper citadel, or so he liked to claim.
You seem surprised. I'm always surprised you come back to Elboreth, but happy.
He was the king of the dung heap.
How are you, Timur? You know me. I live here, live life 1 year at a time. So, this place, these slums, all made of wood and cloth cobbled together, ready to fall down without money or Iox. Rules are the rules. Your friend there stays outside. I will wait as instructed. Huh. Didn't argue that time. It usually argues. It's not the same robot as last time. You lost another one? They must adore you on Iox to keep giving me those things. The robots are their eyes. And you keep plucking them out. You'll always be a rat, won't you? You're very good health. You should let me pay for this. You'll pay me back one day, he says. I feel sure of that. That's not weird at all. Please, Timur, I'm never going to marry you. You just like to poison my day? It's a safe way to keep in practice. Why do men always have to chase someone? You like cats? No, cats are way better. I love you, tortoise. So this is Aaliyah's childhood, and you can kind of see why.
This rocker is made from river water, that it burns your throat with the cold of space. But it isn't true. Timur knocks it up out back in an old metal bin.
What does that word mean, Catkiss? I'm not sure exactly. It's very old. Kiss is usually a word for king or leader. So the laborers call.
Liked me.
No thanks. One's enough. Heard something out there about a darkness, something that would fall across the whole nebula. Oh yes? You hear that in the war rooms of Iox. Iox doesn't have a war room. Of course it does. You've just never been invited. Most likely they think you're a spy. You're so full of nonsense. No wonder I liked this place when I was a child. You still are a child. One day maybe you'll see what's around you for what it really is. I saw something terrible out in the cyclones. A burned out wreck of a ship. Belonged to someone at the university. He died out there. And it could have been you? Easily. Still might. I take some real risks out there alone. And sometimes you wonder why you do it? We all take risks, Aaliyah. Life is a risk. I just feel bad for him is all. Of course you do. Have a drink in his honor. How about some good news, then? I have something for you. A coin. Ooh. Artifacts from Timur. I love artifacts from Timur. No emperor I know. The marker didn't include an inscription. Say it comes from the same site as the compass and fragment of sail, though. Ooh. Where'd you get it? One of my customers. You're not the only one who sails to strange shores, you know. I'm gonna pause for a second so I can talk. So I wanted to talk about the colonialism at play here. Timur seems to understand it a little better than Aaliyah. Aaliyah having lived both here and on Iox, having been raised both in the slums of God's Feet and in the palatial university on Iox, has this sort of double valence. It's depressing to see that reflected so clearly in all of our lives, I think. But I did want to point it out that even though Aaliyah comes from here, she gets treated as an Ioxian in a lot of places and in a lot of ways, because she can't let herself see the way that someone like Timur sees. And I'm not saying Timur is 100% right either. I know some things about Timur from previous playthroughs. He's not a nice man. But he is, I think, one of the more realistic characters here. And if you ever are wandering the markets in some parts of the Mediterranean, this kind of slum, this kind of market might be really familiar to you. Places that are beautiful but falling down. And it's interesting that he knew the word kiss, right? From cat kiss. Mm-hmm. That is going to be important as we play on. You have anything you want to talk about in this pause?
Not really, although I'm curious, when you say he's the most realistic character, do you mean that he is the most realistically depicted, or that he has the most realistic outlook?
Oh. I meant most realistically depicted, although most of the characters are pretty good in that regard. It's just that I have met a lot of people in his situation who have a very similar attitude towards life. Aaliyah called him king of the dung heap, and I think that's a really interesting perspective, you know? Like, he is in a position of power in an unofficial capacity. The official colonialist power doesn't apply to him. Okay, so let's get back to talking to Timur. I found a moon pouring in water. Water cascading down the mountain, water in rivers, water bubbling in fountains. Sounds like paradise. It was a graveyard. Water that comes from the dead is not for drinking, Aaliyah. Bartenders know about this kind of thing. They should make a post for you at university. Could never leave Elboreth, you know that. So there was water for the taking, was there? If there was any way to take it. Every problem is an opportunity, just as every stranger is a friend you haven't met yet. Oh, it is somewhere out there. I'm not giving that to you. You know where I can find Oroi? Up in the cat kiss. She's moved up in the world. She must be doing well for herself. Both of you are. It's a miracle to behold. Do you ever see her? She never comes down here anymore. You two were inseparable once. Caught you stealing my raki cask when you were too small to carry it, let alone drinking it. Oroi picked the lock with the hairpin. The things that girl could do if she put her mind to it. Your friend by the door should be afraid of her. So is the cleaning keeping you busy? Cleaning? I don't really know what that means. Of course you are. Picking through dead people's jewelry. Alright, Timur. I think I've had enough for today. I'm gonna head up to the cat kiss. See if I can find an inscription up there. We have a new artifact to trace. Should we leave now? I want to see Oroi before I leave. Very well. Okay, so that brings us back up out of the slums. Why do people live like this on top of each other? Speaking of people who don't know, slums are kept as small as possible to allow it to grow. I thought there was an inscription on one of these feet. They're so distinctive. There's just nothing else like them in the game. Good faith. How are the crops? Goddess keeps them strong. People here believe in the goddess. So much she's lost, living on Iox. Mistress, there's only solid rock behind this door. Oh, I get it. It's a hopper. It's one of the oldest things on Elboreth. It still works. I cannot see the eye. Without a straight line of sight, I cannot take it into it. What is a hopper eye? I've asked this before, but I didn't feel like I got a good answer. Must be a compral gate above. So who makes the hoppers? That's the real question. Where do they come from? Where do I come from, mistress? Or the moons, or the rivers? Where does anything come from? I assume you've used the gate before. Elborethians know how to use it. You just say the word. What's the word? Catkiss. The gate responded to us, but not the way she expected. Set buyaki rafar. Said catkiss. Stupid contraption. Jimenya me'yeni hua. Isn't working, I don't understand. Well, there's an inscription. I'm going to read the inscription. Okay, so we have our to be verb, what we have as welcome, a very simple thing, and another verb.
I know we've seen that snake-like symbol.
Yeah, I feel like and makes the most sense here, but I feel like we've seen that before by itself.
Yeah, I guess it appears in again.
Yeah.
So... Oh, I didn't even notice the auto one. I was just looking in the notebook.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and, sure.
So... This is a verb. We have a symbol that looks, that we have guessed is about speech. And then goddess. Speak to the goddess, I would imagine, is pray. Yeah. What do you think? Be welcome and pray. Was Elboreth a place for pilgrims? I didn't know that. Wonder if I could convince the gate I'm a pilgrim. Set buyeki rafar. Mercy? No? Set buyeki rafar. Elboreth? I didn't think that would do any good. Set buyaki rafar. Gatkiss. Rimenya mui huya. I failed again. Perhaps you're not really from Elboreth after all. That is so rude! A word for gate didn't work. The gate has simply rejected you. Perhaps you are too Ioxian now. Why? What did I do? I have no idea. Maybe the gate didn't like something I've got with me. I've got this dagger. Maybe the gate doesn't like weapons. Let's try seeing if the gate doesn't like weapons. The chip knife is gone. Is that good? Do you think I'm gonna get it back? Well, let's offer the dagger up. N. And then the dagger goes away. Okay. Alright.
Why isn't it giving you another interact?
It's not giving me another prompt. That's so sad. Okay, let's try this again. Cat kiss. I'm out of weapons. Will you take me now? Yenehuake. It's a different word. It's working again. Fabulous. So we've got some spoken ancient. And it appears to be familiar on Elboreth. Here we are inside the cat kiss, and I think that's probably a good place to stop for the day. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. And Tortoise, thank you for keeping track.
Yes, my pleasure.
And I will see you again next weekend, and in the meantime, keep learning, friends.